Not really a good title. I bet you some of you have even been angry about the title of this video. And what you've got to ask yourself is, why? What's the big deal? And the reason why I put it up is because I was shocked, I really was, that in my work there's different generations, just like any other work in the world. And you believe that your generation is more open, more accepting to every sort of way of life that there is, because the new generation brings hope and stuff. But we sometimes forget that the next generation has been brought up by the old, and the influence of the old comes down to the young, and it gets passed on and passed on. So we'll never get rid of these phobias, these fears, or these hatreds. And that's the thing I can't stand the most. And I'll stand on a ledge and defend. And homophobia, racism, bigotry, bullies, all those sort of nasty sort of things that basically comes from ignorance and the unwillingness to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So why did I bring this up today? Well, because I came face to face with it at work. It was one of these break time moments, and we were just watching a wee bit on a reality TV show, and some homophobic comments got made, and I was insulted to just to hear it and stuff like that, and I went, that wouldn't even have crossed my mind. And some people, majority of women, have come out in the workplace and and have said to people, they didn't make it an issue, which it shouldn't be. But again, more and more men are more likely to accept women rather than men. We live in a world now where I hope, growing up watching Star Trek and superheroes and stuff, that we're in a world where things are accepted. Every day in every TV show, we are introduced to different ways of life, from transgender to transvestite to gay to race to all kinds of manners of things. And we turn to like hero TV shows, where we have stuff like Arrow, where we have Mr. Perfect that is gay. Now it's not made a big issue, and some of the characters have never made a big issue of it. And we turn to DC Legends, and there is lesbians in there, not a big issue. And well, maybe there was maybe an episode of Arrow where there was a hatred towards him being gay, one or two, but it was not really mentioned again. And we should have heroes, and I know we do out there that are gay and everything else. But I'm curious if that's the right way, and I'll get back to that in a moment. We live in a world now where even myself is guilty of it. Is we are tricked into a world where we feel that the latest gadget, the latest game station, the latest 4K TV that is now replaced by 4K, HDK or something like that, in order to do a PlayStation. We've filled into all these things and gadgets and stuff like that, and we get hipped up about movies and directors, and we get passionate about that because and we put so much emphasis on these things, and we don't see the big picture. And that's just life itself, and taking life as face value, and not these things that movies and how people live their lives. You should be able to live the life no matter what, we look at the world today, and there is, when it comes to racism and terrorism, and people believing that you should worship a certain god, because that's what enriches your life, and everybody else is an idiot for not believing or thinking the way you do. If you do not have the latest gadget, then you're behind. If you don't have the latest fashion or trend, you're behind. And then you look at the poorest countries that are sometimes the most happiest, because, well, they live in a world where none of that is important. Now going back to the DC, and why I think maybe what we should have is more heroes, just like Green Lantern and Arrow did in a comic book series, but put straight people up, or have a person who is a bigot, who is a racist, who has, he may be a hero or whatever, but has all these things that stop him being an ideal person to look up on. And then have him go on a journey of self-discovery and self-awareness, and realise how wrong he was to have these feelings. Have that person be partnered up with somebody from a background that he dislikes from, or she dislikes. And by telling that story, you're reaching an audience who might actually, that should be told and should be listened, and should actually be reading these stories, and not simply just by writing a hero for a certain genre. We'll instead of writing a hero that is black, say Black Panther or Wonder Woman, both of those films were meant to show that these heroes can be popular because of their black or white. But is that really the film that we should need? Maybe if we had a white racist and suddenly realise that, that he's been wrong. And I constantly try to talk out to racists. And I know there's a person in America, a black man, who befriends the Ku Klux Klan, and gradually he changes their opinions. And these are sort of the heroes that maybe we should be aiming towards, and not be shoved onto people, for like the Doctor Who turning into a woman, or Ghostbusters having a women team. Maybe that is not how it should be forced upon us. Maybe being by holding a mirror to our faces, and seeing how we could react and how we could gel, and that would make a more prominent hero for everybody, and more people who may love Superman but somehow do not share his racist bigotry, or, who might, somebody can like Superman and be a racist or bigot or a bully, but just because he likes Superman, he doesn't see the effect he has on people being the way he is. So maybe more stories of heroes being that sort of bully, racist, homophobe, and then turning. Maybe that will hold a better mirror up to society. And I believe that Man of Steel did that in a way. Man of Steel sort of questioned his own identity of who he is, and what he believes in, and what he should do, and what not to do. As I think back to Man of Steel, there weren't many sort of black people that you saw Clark growing up with. Maybe that's an idea for Man of Steel too. Have a look back to in his childhood and be faced with these ideals, but not done, and that is the hero that we always tend to look for. So enough of just putting gay people or lesbians or whatever on the screen. Have our heroes have flaws? Have a just like Man of Steel and BVS and all that stuff. I'm not saying they didn't have flaws, but it's flaws in a hero and the change in a hero that will make people stop and think. And that is what happened to Batman and BVS. He saw how corrupted and bad he was becoming. So I just thought to share these thoughts with you as I came across some of it just recently. And it shouldn't be any more of an issue. It shouldn't be of people should be able to come out in their work and explain who they are and not fear to look down upon. And it just saddens me that these people that we may believe in our work to be different, but and wondering why they haven't come out. And it's really because when you really talk to other people, you can understand why. So maybe we need comics, we need TV shows to really highlight our heroes and highlight their negative ways. And that's why when we see Superman being dark and Man of Steel or being downtrodden and BVS, it's holding a mirror up to humanity. It's holding up a mirror. This is what we are. And then when Superman flies off in BVS, and this is, and he says to Lois, I can't remember what he says to Lois. He says, "This isn't my world," and stuff like that. And he felt that there was no hope in the earth. And that's the heroes we need. That's just the heroes we need. We don't need to sugarcoat our heroes. We need our heroes to stand up for things, to have the flaws and not be perfect, because we aren't all perfect. We're all trying to live a life in order to try and mentally make us feel that we're happy. So maybe we shouldn't start taking life too serious and enjoy people for who they are and what they do for us instead of what their own ideology are or their lifestyles are. So when somebody says it's gay to be a DC fan, so what? What's the big deal? Me personally, okay, just in case I've not explained myself, I'm not gay. But I've passed down to my generations that if they were ever turned out to be different or their lifestyle's different from mine, then it's cool. It's fine. And I hope you do the same. And I'm looking at my subscribers just now, and I'm wondering, have I lost any? And if I have, there's your mirror. Thank you very much for listening.